So we are recording this, so it will be available on YouTube, probably as early as tomorrow or Monday, I'm not sure. But it will be available if anybody else, if you know somebody else that might want to listen to it or should listen to it, okay? So self-sabotage, I hear all the time, from people that come in here, people that we do the e-boxes on, stuff like that. A big thing is about, we just don't take care of ourselves well enough. Unfortunately, we have a habit of taking care of everything else. We just don't take care of ourselves. We think it's too hard. We think it's, oh, the pain's not worth the gain, or it makes me feel miserable, etc. Or other people try to talk us out of it, of taking care of ourselves. Or we just think that, you know what, life is too short to worry about it. Well, case in point, last Friday evening, we went to our show in Marlboro, got there, got a message that a gentleman I'd been trying to convince to do something for himself for, gosh, probably 2 years. I kept telling him, and he kept telling me he's fine. I'm fine. I just need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Massive heart attack. They thought they were going to lose him. He survived, but he is had open heart surgery yesterday. Now he's got a long, long road of recovery, and he's only 44 years old. So, I mean, we have to take care of ourselves like we would take care of everything else. Most of the time we don't do it because we self-sabotage ourselves. So I think that we have to, first of all, we have to think happy thoughts, and we have to learn to be happy. Be happy with what we have. Be happy with what we are, because there's so many other people that have it so much worse than we do. And therefore, I think that we need to just understand, let's keep making ourselves better, using all the tools that we know and have to make ourselves better, but take the time, energy, and invest in ourselves to make ourselves happy so that we can be happy. Okay, so my first thought when we went through this was, I think that we have to quit letting who you were talk you out of who you're becoming. And what that means is, if we're unhealthy, physically, mentally, or spiritually, we realize that we need help. We have to quit letting that person that was unhealthy, whether physically or not, mentally or not, spiritually or not. It's so easy to talk ourselves out of the hard work it takes to get to where we truly want to be. And I think we all know that we want more out of life. We want to take care of ourselves. We want to feel good. We want to look good. We want to do the things that we want to do. You know, aging is something that's going to happen. But as we age, we have to understand that we have to take care of ourselves. And oftentimes we talk ourselves out of it. We make up excuses, and we're going to cover some of those reasons why and try to fix some of those things if we can. So what happens is we get into this vicious circle, and it just goes round and around and around, okay? So, you know, self-sabotage, disordered eating, you know, it can be drinking, it can be drugs, it can be smoking, it can be many things, but we're kind of talking about food and that type of thing and taking care of ourselves in the physical mode. You know, the pressures of life get us down. You know, we get into a feeling of depression, you know, like the days are short, it's gloomy, it's cold, it's whatever it might be. So to make ourselves feel better, we do the things that make us feel better, and that is eating things that we shouldn't eat. We know we shouldn't eat them, but after we do it, we start thinking about how we're gaining weight. We're not looking the way we want. So we go into a body shame. We kind of look at ourselves and be disgusted. Well, because we're disgusted, what do? We go back and do the same thing because we're just upset. And then, of course, it's easy to become angry at ourselves. I think all of us have gotten there at some point or another. We get angry with ourselves. Why do I do this? What is wrong with me? And so your inner voice becomes critical of yourself. You start disliking yourself, because you can't control yourself, or you're letting other people control you. And then, of course, we just kind of go around, and because we figure I've done it all, I've ruined my diet, I've ruined the program, whatever it might be, then we go back into comfort eating, because why not? What difference does it make? And of course, that just leads to depression. So between life stresses, life pressures, everything that's going on, there's always something happening. And, grandma wants me to come over and eat. I can't not eat. I mean, we have every excuse in the world to comfort eat, and yet at the same time, we beat ourselves up for it. So we either have to say, you know what, I don't care if I'm overweight. I don't care if I feel miserable. I don't care if I get sick. I don't care anything, and just say to heck with it and comfort eat all the time. Or we need to say, you know what, that critical inner voice means something to me, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to stop it. And that's the only way we break this cycle. And that's for all aspects of our life. We have to decide to take a stand and make it happen. And that's what we're going to talk about. So we came up with 10 signs of self-sabotaging. And basically, we want to talk about how to stop them. So we're going to jump right into it. And the first one is self-criticism. The self-criticize, I think we all do. None of us like the way we look. I don't like the way my voice sounds. And people can tell me, oh, you have a great voice. And I listen to it and I go, well, what is wrong with people? Okay, I don't like that voice. Why is it that we don't like ourselves or things about ourselves? Rare is a person who looks in the mirror and says, I like that person. I'm so glad I am that person. We try to pick away at things that about ourselves that we just shouldn't. What happens is it causes us to ignore our accomplishments and lack any sense of pride. We lose our pride, because if you think about it, if somebody talked to you the way we talk to ourselves oftentimes, we would never have anything to do with that person. We would disown them. We would stay away from them. We would be angry with them for talking to us that way. And we feel that they're not giving us due respect. But yet we turn around and we end up criticizing ourselves for everything that we do. We have a tendency to obsess over the past and tell ourselves that we haven't achieved enough in life. We achieve the things that we put our effort into it. As all of you know, I'm a Christian, and God made us. He didn't make any mistakes. He made us. He made you. He made me. He made Patty. We have to understand that we are a child of God, and we have to remember that. And we have to look at ourselves in that vein rather than constantly criticize ourselves. We have to look at our successes, not that they're irrelevant compared to others. We have to look at our successes as accomplishments of ourselves. So then, therefore, we bring ourselves out of that feeling of that we're lacking as a person, that we can't compete or we can't stack up to the next person. A lot of people can't accept compliments. And when that happens, that's really a good sign that you've fallen into the trap of giving yourself too much criticism. I personally at times have fallen into that category where people say things and I just kind of go, I don't know if that's right. I blow it off as I don't think they're seeing the real me. And that's the thing is that if we don't believe in ourselves, then who else is going to believe in us? So we have to stop it we have to turn the self-criticism into self-reward and self-compassion. We're compassionate with other people that might make a mistake or do things that they shouldn't. But with ourselves, we're so hard on ourselves. And we got to quit thinking about our mistakes. Think about the things you've done right. And every one of us has done many, many things that are right. And we have to learn to focus on the good and be proud of ourselves. And some of you have heard me say this many times. You have to look in the mirror and talk to the person in the mirror. Look them right in the eye and tell that person in the mirror how good that person is. And a friend of mine has always said, never lie to the man in the mirror. And that's what we have to do. You have to do it and you have to believe it. And once we start doing that and being kind to ourselves, then we'll remember that we are going to make mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. And no matter what mistake we make, it can be forgiven. So ideally, if every day you took and you wrote down 5 things that you are grateful for about yourself, not about, that you have food on the table, that you have this and that, but things that you're proud about yourself. And therefore, you're going to end up complimenting yourself, okay? If you think at times that you haven't done things very well, simply refer back to look and talk to yourself about the things that you have done, the positive truths about who you are and the way you do things and the way you handle things. And you have to recognize the small successes and then learn to take the compliments that other people give you and take them to heart. Don't just blow them off and think that they don't really mean it, because they do mean it, okay? People mean it or they wouldn't say it. So we know who those people are. Next one is negativity, okay? Negativity basically means that you don't see the beauty in the world. You know people, and hopefully it's not you, but everything is negative. Everything is a problem. We worry about whether the sun's going to come up or the sun is going to set. I mean, it's basically self-sabotage. And the reason is because we exploit this negativity, and we express it, and everything is negative. I always tell the story that we think our mind goes to the negative all the time. And if you think about it, I use the thought, if at 3 o'clock in the morning the phone rings, the first thing we think of is something bad happened. And right away, we don't think that maybe somebody's calling you to tell you that you won the lottery, that you just somebody is sending you on a trip around the world and they're paying for it. We don't think like that. We just think something happened. What happened to somebody? Who died? Okay. So when people self-sabotage, everything turns out to be negative. And what happens is we tend to have lingering feelings, dissatisfaction, and our disappointments are so much greater because it's so negative. And of course, then we go into modes of feeling hopeless and defeated, and then it just drags on and on. And what happens is positive people are around positive people. Negative people have a tendency to stay around negative people. And when that happens, when we stay around the same type of person, then it just becomes a crowd and everybody becomes negative, because positive people don't want to listen to negativity. Negative people don't want to listen to positivity. Okay, so we have to learn to move ourselves, if we're in that negative world, to the positive world. How do we stop it? If you're feeling negative, try to keep it to yourself. Okay, because the negativity controls the spirit. And much like a virus, it can just overwhelm everything. And I don't think we need to talk much about viruses taking over everything at this point, okay? So we have to control the emotions, and we have to look at everything. And before we even think it, or once we start thinking it, we have to turn it. What is positive in this? So if we think about the COVID epidemic, has there been any positivities in that? I can think of a number of them for myself, okay? I won't speak for anybody else, but I can think of a number of things for myself. I probably wouldn't be doing Zoom calls if it wasn't for it, all right? I met people, sure, there's negatives about it. There are probably many more negative things. But if we look at the positive and decide that the light on the positive side is much stronger than the light on the negative side for us, then we're going to be able to overcome the negativity. So we have to control our emotions. We have to make the simple changes in our attitude and behavior and stay away from negative people. If you hear negativity, people talking, I don't care if it's family, I don't care if it's friends, I don't care if it's coworkers. You just have to separate yourself a little bit and walk away from it, because it'll bring you down. And none of us are going to be negative. We're going to be positive and wanting to look at the bright things in life. Number 3 is procrastination. Okay. This is probably, in my opinion, the worst one. Okay. Because I think procrastination creates a negativity because we put it off. We put it off. We don't, you know, and I'm going to go with health. You know what? I'm going to start my program after the first of the year. Well, because, you know, oh, there's going to be eating and drinking, and I'm not going to sit around and not be able to do it. Well, we just procrastinate about things. But at the same time, we know that we need to do some things for ourselves. So we put it off. We'll wait. I'm not going to go in and stand on the Tanita machine because I don't want to know. It doesn't help you by not knowing, because you already know that there's a problem. I know when I'm on the wrong track. I already know it. All right. So rather than dealing with it, we have a tendency to put it off, which makes us angry at ourselves later because we put it off and we became less healthy, and it's going to take more work later to fix it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this can go on for, you know, on any aspect of our life. So if we regularly procrastinate, that's a good sign that you are self-sabotaging yourself. So whatever seems to be a little bit harmless and universal in high school has a greater impact in adulthood, okay? So meaning when we put something off today, we're going to pay for it later. Whether it's your health, whether it's relationship, no matter what it is, we're going to pay for it. Patty's heard me say 1,000 times, we always pay for our sins. And our sins are procrastinating, not taking care of ourselves in this case. We are going to pay for it later on. We don't realize it. And it's hard to tell young people, and I've told many young people, if somebody told me when I was 20 years old that you need to detox and clean out your body and et cetera, I would have said, you know, mind your own business, okay? I have found out that we pay for it. But whether you're 40 years old and don't take care of yourself, you're going to pay for it later on, one way or another. Just like the gentleman I mentioned with a heart attack, he's paying. He wouldn't do anything. He did tell me many times, I'm going to do it, but he never did. Why? Always too busy. I'm too busy. I've got work. I've got vacation. I've got kids that play hockey. I've got this. I've got everything. But he's paying now because he's laying in a hospital. He's going to have months of recovery. He can't take his kids to hockey anymore. He can't take the vacations because he's paying for what he didn't take care of before. So we have to understand that we have to get rid of the procrastination idea. How do we stop procrastinating? Okay. Think about it. What are you really putting off or avoiding when you're procrastinating? You have to think beyond the moment. You have to think about the long term. Okay, so if you're procrastinating starting a work project or a program, a wellness program, whatever it might be, and the program might seem way beyond your scope of ability or competence, and then you have to take the responsibility for figuring out how to do it, or you have to reach out to people who can help you. And we all have people who will help us if we ask for the help. A lot of time procrastinators will not ask for help. Why? Because somebody will jump in and say, let's do it. And if you're a procrastinator, what's going to happen is you don't really want to do it. You want to put it off because, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow will never, ever not be there until we're not on this earth. So we just say, I'll start it tomorrow. Don't bother me. I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. So we have to pinpoint the thing that's holding us back, whatever it is. And then we have to turn that into a positive and get rid of the negative. So the other thing we need to do is take baby steps. You have to set achievable goals each day. So think about a program. We tell you, eat this way, follow it day by day. Eat this way, take your supplements, drink your water. Baby steps. We don't say, think about 3 months from now or 2 months from now. It's do this morning, do this afternoon, do this evening, because it makes it simple. Don't try to take on too much. Just take baby steps, one step at a time. So when we procrastinate, we start thinking, can I really do it? Or people will say, you know what, if it was meant to be, I would have done it. That's not true, okay? That just means you're looking for a reason not to do whatever it is that you need to do. The next one is disorganization. Now, I will say that probably I have a tendency to become disorganized, okay? Thank God I have people like Patty and to help me stay organized, okay? I might have taught her how not to be organized, I'm not sure, but okay. Normally, disorganization leads to procrastination. And when certain aspects of our life are in chaos, then of course, most everything else follows. We have to start planning and making decisions, but it requires both a decision making and it requires a conscious effort to do it. So you'll find time. If you're disorganized, you're going to find time that you're wasting your time, I should say. And you're wasting a lot of energy when trying to get things done. So therefore, people say, I just don't have time to do everything. And most of the time it's because we're disorganized. We're jumping from one thing to another, in and out. We're not planning. We're not making good decisions because we're not putting in our conscious mind. The thing is that we have to make our routines organized. We have to organize. And I talk to my staff all the time. If you're doing a task, finish it. Don't jump to something else. Finish it. Okay? Karen will tell you in just the 3 weeks she's been here, she's probably heard that more times than she wishes she heard. Finish that and then move to the next thing, because disorganization creates chaos. And when we have chaos in our life, then nothing gets done. And it's so easy to procrastinate because we wear ourselves out trying to get everything done. And I don't have time to do anything else. And then we put other things off. And normally the things we put off are the things that really and truly need to be done. So how do we stop that? We have to identify. We have to identify what's causing it and how we have to manage our time. So that can overwhelm us because we're so disorganized, okay? If we take organizing seriously, it's going to save us time. And once we get the hang of it, once it becomes a routine, things will get easier for us, no matter what it is in our life. Most people that say, I don't have time to take care of myself because I have to take care of everybody else, it's because we're disorganized, okay? We just don't put things in order and we allow everything else and everyone else to use up our time and bounces from one thing to another. We all have to learn to say a word. And sometimes that word is no. I can't take on anymore. Okay, I can't do more. So we have to declutter. We have to declutter our minds. We have to declutter our offices. We have to declutter our homes. And that will help us get rid of the unwanted baggage and the ease of procrastination. So again, we Make sure you think about things that you can change, small baby steps, fix one thing at a time. Don't go in and say, I'm going to fix everything at once, because you're not going to. You have to take one step at a time. Okay, the next thing on procrastination, imposter syndrome. I find this very interesting, because at times we all think that, I know that I feel like I'm successful. People tell me I'm successful, and yet I don't know that I am. I had a young lady who's very intelligent, very beautiful, bright, successful, tell me one time, I sometimes think that people are going to find out the true me, and I don't know that it's going to be good, because I just don't think I'm as good as people tell me I am. And that is really, really hard on us, okay? We feel inadequate despite the fact that we have everything going for us. And we're successful, and people know we're successful, and people look to us to help them. And yet, for some reason, we just don't feel that that's us. And that is something we have to change. We have to look at ourselves and say, I am good. And if you'll notice in the picture, the person is looking at themselves in the mirror. Now, when you look in the mirror, I don't want the mask on, okay? So don't look at yourself like you're somebody else. You are what you are. But don't think or get the feeling that you're not real, or that you're a fraud, or that you're not good enough. You can live up to your job and still wonder, how do people trust me enough to do the things I tell them to do? And this can prevent us from reaching out for help and asking other people, because we're afraid that the peel is going to come off, and it's going to expose what in our minds, what we really are. And if we look at ourselves hard enough and think about it, we are really good. And if you start thinking of yourself as really good, and forgive yourself for the mistakes you made, and realize that the mistakes you made were just learning processes, and the mistakes you made doesn't make you a bad person or an imposter, then you're going to stop sabotaging. But if I think that I don't know what I'm talking about when I talk to people, then why should anybody listen to me or believe me? And that's the thing that we all have to do. How do we stop this? We have to remind ourselves, and it has to be done on a daily basis. It has to understand that your success is based upon your capabilities, and that your actions, attitude, and character are all under your control, and that you are in charge of yourself, and that you are real. But it's amazing that they say that research suggests that 70% of people experience this particular issue. I think, and I'm wondering if that's not a low percentage, because I think it kind of comes and goes at times. My main thing, that if you start feeling this way, reach out for help, for somebody that will listen to you and talk to you in a way that makes sense, in a professional way. I'm not saying you have to go get professional counseling. I'm saying you need to understand that, talk to people about it, somebody you trust, and not somebody that you're married to, or perhaps even family, because most of them are going to tell you pretty much what you want to hear. You need it from the outside, because people that don't have any opinion already built in, okay? So maybe trying to volunteering in certain things, watching people grow under your tutelage, different things like that will help us to get rid of this idea that we're not real, that my success is only because I'm fooling people, or whatever the case may be. So we have to stop believing that we are not what we think we are, okay? So we have to get rid of the imposter syndrome. Okay, the next one is overindulgence. Now, I think most of us can relate to this. overeating, drinking, substance abuse, binge watching, all those things, okay? We do things in excess. Why? Because we have unpleasant feelings. And those unpleasant feelings, just like that circle I showed in the beginning, is self-sabotage. And they become our escape from all the things that are bothering us. When what we have to do, we have to acknowledge our stresses. We have to acknowledge that they're there, but we can't let them overwhelm us. So once in a while, we'll sink into our emotions, but we can't make a habit of it. Again, we have to look in the mirror and we have to tell ourselves that we are going to get back on track, and we have to mean it. We can't procrastinate doing it. It has to happen at that moment, right now. And I don't care if a holiday is coming. I don't care if we're going out to eat. I don't care if we're going to a party. Because what happens is when we start rewarding ourselves by saying, instead of saying, I'm going to eat this food that's not good for me, and reward ourselves by saying, I'm going to eat the things or drink the things that are good for me, and I'm still going to have a good time, what happens is that becomes a reward. Then we start feeling good about ourselves. And I think every person listening to this would say at one time or another, when you've taken care of yourself, you wanted to pat yourself on the back. You wanted to say, good job, okay? Good job, self. I'm so proud of you. That's when we start coming out of this sabotage. We start saying, you know what? Let's get out of this. Because when we talk about overindulgence, basically it's an addiction. But everybody's addicted to something. Everybody. We're either addicted to good or we're addicted to bad. There is no in between. So people that say, I don't have an addictive personality is wrong. We all have addictions, okay? And there's many good addictions, wonderful addictions. Taking care of yourself, okay? Exercise, proper eating, solid relationships. You know, that's all good things. So don't get into the thing that that we don't have addictions, because we do. So, but we have to eliminate the ones that are harmful to us. And if we love ourselves well enough, then we'll do the right things, no matter if the person sitting next to us doesn't want to do it or won't do it. It's okay. And I can like this person next to me, even though they're not in the same belief that I am. And if they get upset with me because I want to take care of myself, that's their problem, not my problem. Okay. So many times we say, when I go to a party and I had a woman in today, she said, well, I was with some people and I had wine. She's on a program, but I didn't want to sit there and not drink wine. Well, unfortunately, that's because you don't love yourself enough to take care of yourself when you know you're on a program that you can't have that because of the program. And that's what happens. So we have to stop the overindulgence of things that are detrimental to us. And they can obviously set you back. We know that on our programs. And obviously prevent us from achieving even more success, because when we feel success, it's easier to get to the next step of success, okay? And we have to look for the healthy replacement for overindulgence. Maybe it's go for a run. Maybe it's write in your journal. And then try to avoid the contact that would create us to have the overindulgence. So basically, practice self-awareness and mindfulness. Be aware of your behavior. But most important, think about the underlying emotion that comes before it. Why do you feel you have the need to overindulge? Don't tell me it's because your friends are going to do it, so I have to do it. Unless they put a gun to your head, you don't have to do it. All right? So feel the good feelings, and it's okay. Could you get ridiculed? Yes. But for those of us who read scripture, we know that in many things in life, we can be ridiculed, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to have beliefs that are positive and on the right track to be ridiculed. Taking care of yourself, if anybody ridicules you because you take care of yourself, then that is their weakness, not yours. All right. So acknowledge your issues, but don't let them overtake. So this will help you to maintain control over the relationship with food and drink and all that stuff. So we need to just focus on that, okay? So addictions, we have to really work hard on those. Okay, next. Initiating conflicts. This one kind of has a tendency to try to push people away from us. And because we don't want people to be in our lives, especially if we're on the wrong track and people are there trying to pull us back, okay? Oftentimes, because we don't think good about ourselves, we fear the hurt we have the fear of hurt or rejection. And so what happens is people feel that it'd be better off just staying away from people. But we all know that there's people that want us in their lives. They want us to come with them. They want us to do things with them. And when we have these negative feelings about ourselves, we have a tendency to push people away. And oftentimes it creates a conflict. And we initiate that conflict just to push them away and keep the boundaries. So we have to understand that we've got to have open and honest communications with them if we're going to stop this kind of behavior. We have to have self-control to having any regrets about what we do with other people. So ask yourself what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. That way you won't end up doing something that you're going to regret later when it comes to arguments or issues. But you want to cultivate your connections, and you want to express what you want or things you don't want out of that relationship. But make sure that you allow people to be open to you in discussing what they want, and you have to be open with them to discuss what you want in a relationship. When it comes to health, that's where you tell people, look, I'll go with you. I will sit and have my water with lemon or whatever it is, but I'm not going to partake, but I can still be there. And again, if people say, well, you're no fun if you're not out with us drinking, then that's when you stay away, but you don't make it into a conflict. If that person wants to make it into a conflict, you have to just walk away. You have to know that you are more important than what those people want from you in those scenarios. True friends will not criticize you for taking care of yourself. True friends will not criticize you because you want to feel better about yourself, look better, etc. So that's how we need to stay out of the conflicts. Number 8 is out of focus, okay? And this part really, I think, is we have a tendency to put our emotions, our thoughts into what we don't have rather than what we have. We look at things that are missing in our lives rather than the things that we have in our lives. And, you know, we need to understand that we have to be grateful for what we have. And I think if we really look around and feel it, we're going to know that we have a lot to be happy for, and we stay focused on what the good things about ourselves and the people around us rather than the other. And if we constantly are thinking about what is going wrong, we can have a feeling of dissatisfaction. I will tell you that if you listen to the news very much, and unfortunately our country, I feel, is in that mode, that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, everything is bad, everything is wrong, everything is collapsing. And that takes us out of focus, because how many times have I heard, you know, boy, I just don't understand how this has gotten to this point, etc. Instead of saying, you know what, I live in a great country. I am here, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I have good health, I have a family, etc., etc. But we have a tendency to get ourselves out of focus and quit thinking of the positive. So we lose our sense of purpose and ambition. And we really, really have to take note of how often we focus on the things that aren't working rather than the things that are working. And again, our mind will take us to the negative. And if we allow the negative to go that way, then we have to be very careful that we don't fall into that trap of negativity all the time. How do we stop? Appreciate the things you have, no matter how small they are, okay? Count your blessings. Say a prayer, not just once a day, number of times a day. Just think about, and for me, I thank God every day for what I do have. I thank God for the people that I'm talking to right now. I thank God for the staff I have that's working for me. And when we start looking at that, we start focusing on those kind of things. It's easy for me to focus on the people that I'm working with. It's easy for me to do that because I just know that I have the best job in the world. I have the best people around me in the world. Okay? Am I always jumping up and down and happy? No. There's things that bother me. There's things that happen that Patty's laughing. There's things that bother me at times, but if you let it overwhelm, let it bother you for a few minutes, then go get rid of it. Okay? Easier said than done, I will tell you, but we have to focus on the good, not on the bad. We have to focus on the things that we have done well or other people have done well rather than the things they're not doing well. And if it gets to a point where you can't, then you have to move away from those situations, whether it's people or things. You have to do it, but you can't live in the negative and only focus on bad. Then everything will be bad. Number 9 is comparisons. When I do the Zyto scan, oftentimes envy comes up, and people say, I'm not envious, but we are, because we compare ourselves to other things, to other people, other situations. I compare my family to other families. I say, man, why can't I have a family that gets along like their family does? But once I get to know them, sometimes I find out their family doesn't get along nearly as well as I thought they did, okay? So we compare, and oftentimes it's comparing apples to oranges. It's not the same. And what it makes us do is always feel that we will never be good enough, okay? So if we're never gonna be good enough, we're always gonna feel bad. And we're gonna quit believing ourselves and believing that we can get better. So we have to understand that we've got to realize that whoever it is we're comparing ourselves to is a different entity. They've had different backgrounds. They grew up differently. They had different belief systems, et cetera, et cetera. What I believe in, they may not, and that's perfectly fine. The way I was raised is different from the way somebody else was raised. But those are my beliefs, because my beliefs came to me when I was very small, very young, and my mind was put in a certain mode. For me, it was get up early every morning, get to work. Other people weren't. Other people were, you know what? Take it easy, relax. But I don't want to compare and say, why can't I sleep in and like other people do? Well, it's not important. I just need to take care of myself and quit and try to fix myself rather than try to be like somebody else. How do we stop it? Again, think about your positive qualities and the things that best describe you as a person on the positive side. So keep thinking about it, write them down, write down the qualities. I challenge everybody to write down your qualities and the things that you like the most about yourself. All right? And the things that you value most in your life. So what will happen is when you start comparing, if you do, notice the things that you have in common with somebody rather than what is different. Think about the things that you have that the other person doesn't. Again, it turns it to the positive rather than the negative. Instead of thinking, you know what, that guy is 6 foot tall and he's got 6-pack abs. Okay, you know what? I think positive. I'm 6 foot tall and I don't have them. So Think about that for a while, okay? It's okay, I don't need them. Or I can do things that that person can't do. I can, whatever it might be, turn it to a positive, all right? Don't try to be somebody else that you're not. And number 10 is questioning your purpose, okay? We have a tendency to question our purpose. Why am I here? Why am I alive? What is my worth to this world? And I think some of this happens more when we start getting a little bit older and we start evaluating our lives and we start saying, you know, what did I do in this life? Well, self-sabotage always is wondering why they're here, what they should have done more of, what they didn't do enough of. I could have been a better parent. I could have been a better spouse. I could have been a Christian. I could have been a better whatever. Well, you know what? You have to look forward. You have to look at the positives again. Again, we spend way too much time running down our self-esteem. We take way too much time thinking about the things we should have. And it's that old saying, woulda, shoulda, coulda, okay? It's in the past. I told somebody in one of our meetings this weekend, and I've told clients this, when you get in your car, look at the windshield. That's a forward. The windshield is big, bright. Don't keep looking in the rear view mirror. That's in the past. Okay, don't question why you're here. As I said earlier, you are a child of God. You are on the right path. You do the right things. We know what is right for ourselves. We know what we are. We're not all going to be presidents of the United States. We're not all going to be CEOs of big corporations. It's not the way the world works. The best people are the people that do the blue collar, the workers, the people that get on their knees and thank God for things. Those are our purpose in life. So how do we stop? Sit down and write down your goals for the future. What do you want to do? Think about the things you want to contribute to the world or to other people around you. So create a statement of purpose. What is my purpose? You know, kind of like a business model, you know, our what do we call it? Our mission statement, okay? And you can do your own. Make contributions and do service for those in your community can help you feel better about yourself. And the better we feel about ourselves, the better we will take care of ourselves. If we think there's no purpose, then what is the point of taking care of something that has no purpose? If I have a piece of machinery that is worthless, I'm not going to invest in taking care of it. I'm just not. What point would it be? So think of yourself as the bright light, the bright sunshine. That's what you are. And you will be it if you keep telling yourself you are. Keep telling yourself how wonderful you are. Keep telling yourself all the good things you've done. So, you know, we've kind of shared the reasons and signs of self-sabotaging behavior, okay? We kind of know that it can affect us in many, many ways and make our life unhappy if we self-sabotage. But then if we just flip the coin and just say, you know what, I feel this way, why? I'm too good to feel this way. Flip it over and take some of these tips that'll help you to understand it and become a better version of yourself and ultimately a happier, healthier human being. And by doing that, you're going to be better for everybody. You're going to be better for your family. You're going to be better for your coworkers. You're going to be better for everybody that touches your life. And you're going to be helping them to see the thing. Because when I get around a positive person, I know I become more positive. I pick up things that I just really like about the way they handle themselves and the smiles. And it's addictive. And that's what I want to be addicted to people that want to be happy, because mental health plays such a role in our physical health and our spiritual health. Okay. So that is our session on self-sabotage. So when you make that choice to improve, you did it for a reason. Don't go backwards to habits and situations that weren't helping you evolve. So I tell people that have been through our programs, once you're done, don't go back to the old habits because you'll end up the way you were before. And when you feel good, you get through the program, you pat yourself on the back and you say, the road is still ahead of me. There's still things I have to do. And you have to keep reminding yourself why you decided in the beginning to start. And in other words, you have to stay positive and you have to be consistent with your change, constantly working to get better. Don't look back and worry about what might be happening. Just fix the things you can fix and do the things you know is right. And then we become happy, we become healthy. So you have to make a commitment for your personal transformation. And that commitment can be hard. In the beginning, it can hurt. It can be difficult. People might tell you you're foolish. Oh, you shouldn't do it. I've heard it a million times, okay? But the people that just say, you know what? It's my life. I want to take care of myself. That's a commitment you have to make. Nobody can make that commitment for you. Nobody in any aspect of your life. You have to make it and take care of yourself because nobody else will take care of you if you don't take care of yourself. Again, think happy, be happy, okay? That's all there is to life, is be happy. Keep a smile. So 5 tips to make a quit-proof commitment. Number 1, sit down and write down what needs to change and why. Write it down. What needs to change about you and for you and why? Number 2, commit 100% to what you are willing to change. If it's your health, if it's your faith, if it's your relationship, make it happen. You are willing to do it, commit to it. Don't go in it, well, if it works, if I start a program and I feel okay during it, I'll stay with it. But if I don't, I'm bailing. Well, that's not a commitment, okay? That's a commitment to failure. Then you have to make a plan on where to start. And I recommend you start with yourself, and I recommend you start soon. Don't wait. And then set up your environment for success. That means your surroundings, whether it's the people around you, whether it's your clean out your kitchen and get rid of the garbage, whatever it might be, become uncluttered in your home mentally and physically. Set it up so it's easy for you to flow. And then number 5, have your friends and family join you in your positive journey, no matter what it is. Talk to them and convince them, hey, I want to take care of myself. I'd love to have you for the ride. If they refuse, it's okay. It's all right. You can still do it. But it's always easier to do things in a group. That's why people tend to go the other direction and do the things you shouldn't do, because we become sheep. People say, let's go out and abuse ourselves. We say, okay, let's go. All right. And we think it's fun and games. When it's time to pay the price, we go, oh man, this is so hard. But you know what? It was hard to hurt ourselves too. We just didn't feel it because everybody else is doing it. I lived that life for a while, and we have to change it. Talk to your friends, find out who your good friends are. They'll help you and guide and work with you and help to pick you up at times. Without them, it's hard to succeed. And as we always say, nobody changes until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Because change is hard. Change can hurt for a while. Okay? And I don't care what we do, whether it's health, relationships, anything, it hurts. And we have to get through that before we're going to get the gain. So if you're ready to change because you're tired of the pain, then step forward and make it happen. I want to thank everybody for listening. If I'd like to turn it over for questions or thoughts or feedback, anything. I'm open for questions, whatever. Everybody awake?
You can raise your hand. You could put it in the chat. Nobody.
I'll just make a comment that it was a great topic and it brought a lot of things to focus. And I think when you bring things top to mind, then we can do better. So thanks for the information.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you for joining us.
I will see you bright and early.
Yes.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Okay, who else has a question? Thought?
Hi, John. This is Luba.
Hi, Luba.
I just wanted to say thank you for all the information and all those points that you read. Can we find them somewhere?
Yeah.
Right.
I can well, when this gets recorded, I can I send it out in an email with the link to our YouTube channel, but I can also give you the website where I got this information from.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Judy has her hand raised.
Yeah, hi, John and Patty. I've got a lot of files that I'm trying to declutter. You know, I've done my house and I feel really good about that. I had some help. It's been a couple of good days just getting rid of things, you know, just to have more time to do other things. But I'm having a hard time with the paper. And I know I'm supposed to do it in sections, you know, but I just look at it and I get overwhelmed with it because I have so many other things going on as well. But it is holding me back. So I don't know if that's a choice or if it's really because I'm busy. It's just, I'm just struggling with that. I didn't know if you had any advice.
Well, if you want to declutter or organize, you have to take some time and dedicate it to that particular project. You can't try to do it while you're doing other things. People say I can multitask. That is untrue. We don't multitask. Okay.
Okay.
And if we don't believe that, I'm going to give you an example. Try driving down the road looking for an address with a radio on. The first thing you'll do is turn the radio down. Why? Because, or if you're in a car with other people talking, you'll say, well, just wait a minute. I'm trying to see, people think they can do all these things at once. So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, Saturday morning, for example, this is what I need to do. Okay. So if you wouldn't go to church and say, well, while I'm at church, I'm gonna knit somebody's scarf for a gift. Okay. You wouldn't do it because you can't concentrate on both. Okay. We take time for one thing, then we take time for another thing. If it's that important, you have to block time. And you say, well, I'm so busy, then you're going to say, well, but then I won't have time to do something else. You have to set priorities. What is your priority? Take some time. You don't have to finish it all, but block out an hour or half hour, whatever it is, work on it, then move to the next thing that's important. But make sure you plan to go back to that so that you can finish it. Because a lot of things we can't just sit down and do it all at once.
Yeah, because I put it all in another room, all the files, so out of sight, out of mind, and getting distracted. But that's really good advice. So,
well, that's what a lot of people do with their. That's what a lot of people do with their health. They just put it out of sight, out of mind. Okay, and so we have to put it forefront. Okay, and putting it out of sight, out of mind is all we're doing is saying, you know what, I just don't even think about it. But we know it's something that has to be taken care of, and it's going to get us in the long run.
But I am thinking about it. I know it's there. That's what's bogging me down. But thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Who else? Okay, Mariola. You got to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
How are you, Patty and John?
Good.
Well, I'm very happy I joined. I took the time. I was cooking right when you were started for my mom. I had already had my dinner. I'm very happy I joined the program. It's like my third week, almost my fourth week. And what you talked about today, a lot, I have to work on. You know, I took notes. I was taking notes all over. Yeah, because it really got me, especially the imposter syndrome. That's one that hit me the most, you know. And I take care of my dad, my sister, my mom, and myself, and it's not easy. And getting organized, it's been very hard for me. You know, I think little by little each day, you know, I'm doing it, but it's hard. Really.
So it's nothing is a quick fix. Getting healthy is not a quick fix. Getting spiritual healthy is not a quick fix. Everything takes time. So don't be impatient with yourself. Okay. Take the time you need, but keep working at it every single day. Okay. But make sure, and you mentioned take care of all these people, but make sure you take care of yourself. Okay. Always. Because if you don't take care of yourself in time, you're not going to be able to take care of your mother, your father, your sister, etc. Okay. You have to be first and foremost.
Yeah, that's why I started the program. I said, I'm going to do it. If they like it or if they don't like it, I'm going to take my time, you know. So yeah, day by day.
Yes.
Good.
Who else has something? Love to hear from all of you. We got two Marines. Who wants to talk first? Which one of you?
I think we lost one of them.
Oh, we did.
Maureen, you're smiling, and there's Ed. You're both smiling. Nothing to
It was
say.
really, really good.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, John and Patty.
You're
You're welcome.
Ed.
Important
what time-
lessons and important reminders.
okay. Okay. So Maureen, what hit you the most?
I guess all of it, really.
Okay.
I finally sunk in, you know?
Well, hey, it's a process. It's a process. Okay. All right. Who else has something for us? Taryn, you can speak if you want. You're muted. It's hard to mute Taryn.
So it's actually really funny. Something I've learned along like my journey, especially like thinking about looking into like the therapy and alternative approaches with health and the mind and ways we self-sabotage. I heard a statistic a while back that said, I'm not exactly sure the exact number, but it was something like 75% of what we do is subconscious, meaning our conscious directs, it may even have been 10% and 90%. But anyway, our consciousness only directs so much of what we do, and our subconscious directs the huge major things and habits we do in our life. So when we see that mound of papers, somewhere subconsciously, it's bringing up pain within our mind. It's bringing up overwhelm. And our subconscious is wired to keep us from pain, to keep us from experiencing pain somehow. So my advice to even the woman that is having trouble organizing her paper, literally, like John said, yes, set aside the time for that specific task, but also allow yourself to, and even with food, allow yourself to separate the emotion from the task, and little by little, you will come into the sense that it's not painful.
Right. In order to do that, you have to understand the emotion though. Okay. And that's probably the hard part, is understanding the emotion. What is triggering that feeling? But you're right. It is a 90-10 subconscious, and our subconscious is most of the things that have happened as we grew up, especially when we were very young, And those mindsets get in our mind. That's why we behave the way we behave as adults 90% of the time.
Wow.
Okay. Who else has something? Anna, how about you? You have some for us?
Well, I have to, I'm just going to chime in real quick. I have to go, but thank you very much for the opportunity to listen in. And hi.
Hi. Okay, hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah, anytime,
I
Pam.
hope so. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Ann or Anna, anybody have comments they want to make? Anybody else? Yes, Fred.
Yeah, first of all, John, really appreciate tonight. I thought it was excellent. You gave us some great points, and there were 4 things that stood out for me. The first one, you started out with listen to your critical inner voice. Then you said, we always pay for our sins. Well, I'm an example of that. Don't compare yourself to others. And then you finished up near the end, you said change is hard. So those were all very meaningful comments to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred, for being here. Thank you. Yes, it is. All change is hard. I'm telling you, we've all had to make changes in our lives, and it is hard. So we just have to understand it's going to be hard, but then we just have to put our head down and do it. We just got to do it. Nobody can do it for us. We just have to do it if we really want it bad enough. Okay.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
John, Judy, I just have a quick question. How do you change the subconscious? Is it just an act of the will? Do you just do it? You know, you're aware of it? And then...
Change the subconscious is done through consistency and getting into a mindset of doing the same thing all the time, okay? Making it a habit, because the subconscious really is a habit. We get into things in our mind, and that's what we do. We just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. So I'll give you an example for me. I decided that I wanted to pray every day. And I said, I'm going to do it. But in the beginning, I didn't have a system. So I would say to myself, okay, I'm going to read some scripture every day. But then the day would get by me and I didn't do it. So I had to say to myself, okay, you know what I'm going to do? Every morning before I shower, I will read scripture 7 days a week, no matter what. I will read scripture. So before I get in that shower, I have to have read my scripture. That works for me. So now it's a habit. So I get it. I do it when I have to do, etc. So that changed. So it becomes a habit. That's in my subconscious. Oftentimes I pick up my Bible and start without even thinking, oh, I got to get my Bible. Okay. It's just a habit. And that's the kind of pattern we have to get into.
And they say it takes so many days to have a new habit. Too,
it does.
Right?
It takes at least 30 days to create a new habit, minimum. If you follow it religiously, it takes at least 30 days. Some people it's longer.
Thank you. Good
welcome.
Reminder.
Yes,
Well,
Anna.
John and Patty, since the other Anna didn't say anything, I guess I will talk. Well, I again appreciate for everything you've done in the past, and I like the friendship, and I am glad that you continue with the business helping people living healthier, and that was a good journey for me and the knowledge that I have. So the teaching, as always, I like your classes. Every single time I was able to join, I meant to join many times, but being sick, I just fall asleep and forget about stuff. So today I will make sure I want to see John and Patty. I can't go to the office, but I'll see them on the Zoom, and thank God for the technology. So all the points that you brought on, it's right on spot. Thank you for reminding us to get out of our dungeons and take care of ourselves.
Thank you.
And I'm glad Taryn is in a good place too. That's
Yes.
happy, made me happy, Taryn.
Good.
So she's a good learner. She likes to, from what I know her, all her life actually. She's looking for alternative health to stay healthier and happier, right, Taryn?
Yeah.
So, and
Good.
hopefully I can come and see you guys in person one day.
I sure hope so.
Good.